The Bounty Hunters. Oh yay, something's up, Pukey notes as he exits the shuttle, as was their standard doctrine when it came to a new world with a target on it. A small team is sent and the Chainbreaker is in a distant orbit and ready to provide massive reinforcement. Few things tell a person you have the superior bargaining position than a ship ominously descending from above and visibly training enough weapons on the location to blast it down to the core of the world. But that'll just make things worse now. There's an air of absolute defeat and depression hanging over the city of Magar. It was the source of the cry for help, and if there wasn't something threatening this place, then there was a chronic depression going around like a plague. You shouldn't be here. It's not safe, someone whispers, but by the time Pukey turns to see who spoke to him, she's already turned away and is part of the morose crowd. Well, fuck, this is going to be a bad one, the Hat notes grimly. We really were needed. Shit. J3 adds as he pings which woman it was and scans the area. No more cameras than usual. Windows are not covered. Nothing is boarded up. Hey, honey, I've gotten into the systems, Litha says over the comms. Bad news? No one has left the world and there's a very controlled pattern in all messages leaving the world. This goes back about a year. Litha explains and then pauses. I'm digging into what the patterns are to try to figure out more exact details, but the world became extremely insular 14 months ago all at once and has not shifted from there. Well, that's concerning. We need information, but we play by local rules. No using the target's name, no using our own names. Nicknames only Cybersnake, Pukey orders. Confirmed, Pukey, Litha states, and he nods. So, how do you think the target did this? The Hat asks, slipping a hand into his pocket to wrap it around the comforting grip of a Magnum revolver. We don't have enough information, Pukey says before opening up his communicator. We're going with C-Class scenario. Something is up, so we're playing it safe. C-Class was only a theory, an idea, but a dangerous one. Something that had been put together before the Dauntless even left Earth's orbit and had been refined into something that can actually work once the Nerd Squad had started to understand Axiom. It was why they were so well tolerated. They turned theoretical proposals into practical ones. C-Class? Are you sure? Bike asks over the comms. No, but I'm playing it safe. We're going to check the building the information arrived from and see if there is more to be found. Pukey counters. We're being watched. It's not direct though, it's not the people and it's not the cameras. J3 says his head on a swivel as he tries to spot whatever the hell is giving him the creeping horrors. They cross the street and take a left before pausing. Pukey checks his communicator's map app to double-check that the abandoned building in front of them is in fact where the message came from. It is. But the door is swinging open, and people cross the street rather than walk in front of the building, looking away from it entirely, as if just gazing upon it were taboo. Well, that's fucking ominous. The Hat notes. He switched his grip to draw out a large machine gun rather than simply hold onto the handle of a pistol. Pukey's hand is over his plasma sword as J3 starts slowly assembling his rifle. Don't go in there. One of the civilians whispers to them as they pass the foot traffic and head for the building. The Araminta woman is pointedly looking away, but her body language is stiff and jittery. She's terrified. Building looks clear, Pukey says as his eye thermal scans the structure and finds nothing living in it. Nothing beyond vermin or insects at any rate. I hate this. The Hat notes as he pulls out a one-shot grenade launcher and attaches it to the underside of his gun. Yeah, I feel you, big guy, J3 says as he grips his assembled rifle tightly. We're going in. We need information. Pukey orders and leads the way in, the plasma sword ready to be ignited at a moment's notice. Fuck me, you feel that? The air has a charge, the Hat says as they enter the building. There's little sign of decay, but that could be easily explained by the visibly apparent repair runes in the door frames and windowsills. A building with those would last centuries without maintenance easily. It's like a thunderstorm is about to hit, but there's no pressure or high humidity, J3 adds. Pukey shushes them both and gestures for them to follow with his holographic hand as he adjusts his grip ever so to slice in half anything that might jump out at them. The first floor is clear, dust, some vermin and insects eating what was in the pantry. Just a small official building that was completely abandoned. Glasses broken where they were dropped or thrown and nothing taken out. The computer stations still have power and still work but demand passwords or prints. Pukey hooks his backup communicator into one and tells Litha to work her magic with it. 10 seconds later, and the computer activates before beginning to download files. Then a prompt shows up with a word processor. Nothing odd, just business memos for a small pharmaceutical company. They specialized in stomach pills, and the oddest thing was some concern that a new hire was uncommonly brave. All three men scan that and nod before Pukey disconnects the device and pockets it. They receive a message a few moments later. Litha did follow up. The company is completely dead. The factories are abandoned and the offices were just walked out of. All business deals were left to rot, and there was a rash of deaths from former employees. The site of death seemed to be the factories or offices. Whatever it was that killed them was something the rest managed to dodge by bailing out. Did they not get the warning? The three men are much grimmer now, and the silence is only broken by tiny static discharges that grow more and more frequent. Pukey has the worst of it with his cybernetic eye and arm acting as lightning rods. There's a terrible stink from a closet, and a door is opened to reveal a side closet with a dead body inside. No more than a week dead, the Lyrak man is an odd sight. Whatever killed him isn't distinguishing by sex or trying to play softball with boys. J3 pulls out a scanner and has it medically go over the body to try and find a cause of death. Too much time has passed for the simple device to just throw up an answer, but it does give a bit of a readout. Small burns on the body, no broken bones or lacerations. Whatever the cause was, time and the scavengers going at the corpse had erased the trail. The man was a janitor sleeping on the job by the look of things. Whatever warning the others got wasn't loud enough to wake this man before it was too late. As they step away from the door, Pukey bites down a curse as a particularly bad static builds up, erupts from his eye. He's not entirely successful. Fuck me. You're not cute enough. The hat retorts instantly and J3 starts cackling. The tension broken somewhat, they start stalking down the hallways. Office cubicles and little else until the stink of death wafts over from a side room. They open the door and find a charred corpse collapsed in front of a wall terminal. J3 brings out the scanner again. Multiple broken bones. I'm not sure if she was cut beforehand and then burnt, but her insides are exposed. Hey, the hat says as he spots something embedded in the ceiling. He reaches up and pulls it out. It's a small device in the general size and shape of a pen. Wasn't the idea of someone using a digital pen and a timer floated? It was. Pukey confirms as he gives the device a quick picture and it brings up a whole list of digital pens. It's a common knockoff brand, but undoubtedly just that. He taps the console with his cybernetic arm and flinches as the static buildup zaps him badly. The arm doesn't transfer it, but it sure as hell hurts in the socket. This is where it was sent, meaning this is our contractor. The hat notes before suddenly pointing his gun out the hallways and stopping the terrified woman who had been sneaking up on them. You have to get out of here. It's not safe. She'll kill you. The woman begs, grabbing at the weapon. Hurry! You don't have long left. The hat lets himself be guided out by the terrified civilian with J3, and Pukey following so close they're practically walking on his heels. Bright blue sparks start gathering around them, and with the door out in sight, thousands of volts slam into all three of them, and they drop to the ground. There's an ungodly sound as their weapons fire off, and the woman screams before running away into the distance, sobbing as she goes. The static buildup starts again as Pukey peels himself off the floor as he tries to get the taste of cyan out of his mouth. The hat's groaning and J3's twitching has him worried as he starts to drag them up, but is slowed by his fried cybernetics. J3 recovers first and uses his long gun to brace himself up before helping the hat up. Fuck, that zap cooked my ammo. I think I've got a busted rib. Time to bail. We need to plan, Pukey says as he helps the others out of the building, as after leaving the threshold they can feel the static charge fade away. As they move, their jangled and jumbled nerves are slowly sorted through use as they leave for their shuttle and don't stop for anything. They actually wave it down as it's flying overhead towards the former office building, and Air Farce demonstrates his skill by reorienting the shuttle so it's nose up as he backs up vertically so they can climb in the rear hatch without going to a dedicated landing pad. The door slams behind them and their gravity reorients as the shuttle blasts away. "The fuck happened down there?" Air Farce demands from the cockpit. "Once we're in the ship and behind C-class security measures." "No sooner," Pukey orders. "Got it. Holy shit. Cognito hazard scenario. Jesus Christ. Just fly," Pukey orders, refusing to elaborate while in a possible kill zone. The entire chainbreaker is on alert and are already waiting in the appointed briefing chamber for a C-class threat. It takes 10 minutes for a group to enter the chamber. This is because it takes 5 minutes apiece for the 2 chambers leading up to it. All 3 are sealed tri-tight sections on the ship, and the only Kutha allowed inside are dozens of different disruption totems that give most people a piercing headache, cause all technology reliant on Axiom to move at a fraction of their normal speed and thoroughly rips apart any Axiom construct. They would also be extremely lethal to any Gravia or other races so totally reliant on Axiom. It was only barely non-lethal to synthetics. The chamber beyond it is Spartan in its decorations and very utilitarian. As all 4 men walk into the room, everyone is simply staring at them, safe within the sealed tri-tight chambers. Hopefully. "What happened?" Cindy asks in a horrified tone as she sees Pukey's burnt-out eye and arm. "Our target has the ability to set up dangerous energy fields that are designed specifically to fuck with technology. Apparently these fields are summoned on planet by saying the target's name or perhaps just thinking it or writing it down. Either way, we now know why the people on the planet are afraid to so much as say her name. It creates a kill zone centered on you." "So that static buildup is designed to destroy electronics?" Litha asks, and Pukey nods as he pulls out his cybernetic eye. "Completely dead. Cooked the gunpowder in our weapons too," Pukey confirms as Cindy takes the weapon from him. "We're going to need to play this really sneaky." Newitt notes, "Adepts like this occasionally would show up in contracts. You need to work in complete silence and even empty your mind sometimes. Of course the real trick is finding the bitch. If they get even a sniff that you're on the trail, then they can and will find you, break you and erase you," Swar adds. "We need to call in professional help. But even in high orbit we may still be in range. We need to move quietly and smartly. We don't know who our target is beyond a name we cannot use. We don't know what they want. We don't even fully know what they're capable of. So I'm going to send a message to our experts, text only and only in Earthborn languages. I'm getting every Axiom adept on our side helping us find an answer. We have a mission, and we have a huge threat. I will accept precisely 0 fuck-ups. Whenever you're outside of this room, watch your words and watch your movements. We don't know what might give us away." Pukey responds and there's some nodding before Snaky raises his hand. "Yay, son? Why can't we leave or get out?" he asks. "No one else has. We have to assume there's some way our target has been keeping people on planet. Even if we could, There are billions of people down there living in abject terror with a fear that an evil bitch has put into their soul. I don't want to leave anyone in that kind of nightmare.